The pressure cooker at Ibrox has officially reached boiling point. Tensions between Rangers supporters and the club's hierarchy are now impossible to ignore, and it's not just a few disgruntled voices in the stands anymore. It's a full-blown wave of frustration sweeping through the fan base. With performances on the pitch falling way below expectations and leadership decisions being questioned from top to bottom, the message from the terraces is crystal clear. Change is needed, and it's needed now. It all came to a head after the most recent defeat at Ibrox, a 2-0 loss to Hearts that sent shockwaves through the Rangers community. For many fans, this wasn't just another bad result, it was the final straw. This latest stumble means that Rangers are now 9 points behind in the league, sitting in 10th place, a position that would have seemed unthinkable just a few months ago. And with murmurs growing that they could even fall to the bottom of the table if things don't turn around quickly, the alarm bells aren't just ringing. They're deafening. Inside the stadium, the discontent is visible. Chants of "Martin get to F" echoed loudly around Ibrox, a public and unfiltered display of how fans feel about the current manager, Russell Martin. The mood has shifted drastically. What was once cautious optimism has turned into open hostility. The supporters aren't just unhappy with results. They're questioning the entire direction the club is heading. And the fans aren't just pointing fingers at the touchline. The heat is firmly on the boardroom as well. The Union Bears, one of the most vocal and influential supporters groups, have come out swinging. In a strongly worded statement, they demanded the immediate dismissal of both Russell Martin and the club's chief executive, Patrick Stewart. They didn't mince their words. According to them, Martin's tenure has been a disaster from the get-go, and Stewart is equally to blame for the decision to bring him in during the summer. This wasn't just a simple call for change. It was a direct ultimatum to the club's new ownership: act now or face the consequences. The Union Bears made it clear that protest actions have already been planned, starting with the next home fixture. And unless swift and decisive changes are made, those actions will escalate. It's not just about football anymore. It's about accountability, direction, and respect for what this club stands for. The frustration runs deep, and it's not hard to see why. Rangers supporters have endured a turbulent few seasons, but this campaign was supposed to be different. After a promising preseason and some decent performances in Europe early on, there was a belief that maybe, just maybe, this team could compete at the top again. But it's all unraveled at breakneck speed. Disappointing draws against Motherwell, Dundee, St. Mirren and Celtic had already raised eyebrows. But the humiliating Champions League exit at the hands of Club Brugge? That was a gut punch. A club of Rangers' stature simply cannot afford to fail on such a stage, and fans knew it. Now, the uncertainty surrounding certain players only adds fuel to the fire. Take Nico Raskin, for example. Just a few months ago, he was being hailed as one of the club's brightest talents. Rangers Player of the Year, scoring his first goal for the Belgian national team, and seen as a central figure in the rebuild. Fast forward to now, and he's nowhere near the starting lineup. Completely dropped from the squad for massive games against Celtic and Hearts, his sudden absence has raised more questions than answers. Manager Russell Martin tried to explain the situation, suggesting that Raskin needed to earn the trust of the squad again, but that vague justification only made things worse. Fans want clarity, not riddles. And with Raskin now back in training but still out of favor, it's impossible to avoid the speculation. Is there a deeper issue behind the scenes? Has there been a falling out? Or is this just another example of questionable man management? Adding to the intrigue, Raskin's close friend and fellow Belgian Wood Sheriff has spoken out, hinting that the midfielder won't be short of options if he decides to move on. He called Raskin's journey exceptional and praised his mentality and quality, suggesting that clubs are already circling. If that's true, and Rangers allow a player of his caliber to leave under these circumstances, it would only deepen the wounds between the fans and the club's decision-makers. It's moments like this that make you wonder, who's really calling the shots at Ibrox? Are decisions being made in the best interests of the footballing project, or is there a disconnect between those on the ground and those at the top? The new ownership duo, Andrew Kavanagh and Parag Maratha, are now under intense scrutiny. The message from the stands could not be more clear: do something, and do it now. But not everyone is ready to write off Russell Martin just yet. In a surprising twist, former Crystal Palace owner Simon Jordan came to the manager's defense, arguing that he deserves more time. Speaking on TalkSport, Jordan claimed that 5 or 6 games is simply not enough to judge a manager's potential and criticized the idea of letting fan unrest dictate boardroom decisions. He even suggested that the board must have seen something valuable in Martin's vision to appoint him in the first place, and that they should have the backbone to stand by that decision, at least for a while longer. While Jordan's defense of Martin was thoughtful and nuanced, it's unlikely to win over many fans at this point. The reality on the pitch speaks volumes, and supporters aren't interested in long-term projects when short-term results are collapsing. This is a club that demands excellence, that lives and breathes silverware, and right now, they're watching their team stumble through a campaign that looks increasingly like a write-off. Russell Martin may be trying to navigate a difficult moment, but he's doing it under an avalanche of pressure. The atmosphere around Ibrox is becoming toxic. Every decision is being scrutinized, every lineup questioned, and every result weighed like a final verdict. And with Chance calling for his exit already ringing out, the clock is ticking loudly. If the board backs him now, they better be ready to deal with the fallout. Because if results don't turn around immediately, the protests will grow louder, the stadium will grow colder, and the bond between fans and club will fray even further. There is no patience left, no goodwill to lean on, and no hiding from the reality of the situation. Rangers fans aren't just angry, they're heartbroken. This is a club with history, with pride, with an identity forged in battles and triumphs. To see it floundering like this is unbearable. The next steps will be crucial. Will the board listen? Will the players respond? Or will this season spiral even further out of control? The situation surrounding Nico Raskin is a perfect microcosm of the wider chaos unfolding at Ibrox. Here we have a player who was once seen as the heartbeat of the midfield, someone who not only had the technical quality but the hunger and edge that fans love to see in a Rangers shirt. His performances last season earned him the club's Player of the Year award and a call-up to the Belgian national team, where he even found the net for his country. On paper, he should be untouchable, but instead, he's been frozen out, cast aside for reasons that still haven't been properly explained. Russell Martin's explanation that Raskin needed to regain the trust of the dressing room feels like a smokescreen. It's the kind of comment that only invites more speculation, more division, more questions than answers. Supporters aren't buying it, and frankly, neither are those close to Raskin. His close friend Wid Cherif, speaking from Belgium, made it very clear that Raskin is still highly rated, still in demand, and that he won't be short of options should he decide to walk away from the club. That sort of public backing doesn't happen unless something deeper is brewing behind the scenes. This kind of player treatment is what's beginning to define the Russell Martin era, and not in a good way. The decisions coming from the manager's office are looking more and more erratic. The squad feels unbalanced, and some of the selections are leaving fans scratching their heads. Whether it's leaving out key players in big matches or sticking with a tactical setup that simply isn't working, the impression is that Martin has lost his grip on the situation. And when that starts to happen, it's usually only a matter of time before the dressing room begins to fracture too. That's the real danger now. Not just the league table, not just the results, but the atmosphere behind the scenes. Players need to believe in the project. They need to believe that their manager has a plan, that the club is heading in a direction worth fighting for. When that belief disappears, things can unravel very quickly. And if Raskin, one of the few who has consistently shown quality and commitment, is now being sidelined, what does that say to the rest of the squad? Meanwhile, the fans aren't waiting around to see how this plays out. They've already made their feelings clear, and the Union Bears have taken that sentiment and put it into writing. Their statement wasn't just an angry outburst. It was a coordinated, calculated shot across the bow. They demanded action, named names, and laid out the consequences if nothing changes. They're not just pointing at Russell Martin. They've gone straight to the top, calling for the removal of Patrick Stewart, the chief executive, whose decision to appoint Martin now looks like a costly gamble. The Union Bears didn't hold back. In their words, Martin's failure is absolute, and Stewart's refusal to take accountability is catastrophic. They insisted the club's standards are being disgraced, and that if the new owners don't act, then the fans will. Through protest, through pressure, through sheer volume. This isn't just frustration. It's rebellion, and it's fueled by a deep, painful sense of betrayal. Rangers supporters aren't just angry that the team is losing. They're angry that the identity of the club feels like it's being stripped away. That's the thing that often gets overlooked when the outside world talks about pressure at Rangers. This isn't just about trophies. It's about pride, history, and a connection between the fans and their club that runs deeper than most. When that connection is threatened, when it starts to feel like those at the top are ignoring the values and passion that make Rangers what it is, the backlash is inevitable. And right now, that backlash is growing stronger by the day. Even those who've tried to bring balance to the conversation, like Simon Jordan, are facing resistance. His defense of Russell Martin was rooted in logic. It's too early. Give him more time. Judge him over a season, not 6 games. And to be fair, there's merit in that line of thinking. But in a place like Ibrox, where the pressure is relentless and the expectations sky high, logic doesn't always win. Emotion drives the engine, and right now, that engine is running red-hot with frustration. Jordan's argument that the fans never wanted Martin to begin with only adds fuel to the fire. If that's true, and the mood suggests it might be, then why was he appointed in the first place? What did the board see in him that justified ignoring the instincts of the support? Because if there was a long-term vision, it's crumbling already. The style of play isn't convincing. The results are worse. The squad looks confused. And the manager is starting to sound like a man running out of ideas. Russell Martin is not just fighting to turn around a football team. He's fighting to keep his job, to earn back the trust of a fan base that never truly warmed to him, and to convince a group of players that his methods can still work. That's an uphill battle, and it's one that very few come out of on top. Behind the scenes, the new ownership group is being watched closely. Andrew Kavanagh and Parag Maratha might have come in with fresh ideas and long-term ambition, but Rangers isn't a club that gives you a grace period. Not when you're losing. Not when the fans feel like they're being ignored. Every day they wait to act, the situation worsens. Every poor result adds more fuel to a fire that is already raging. This weekend's upcoming match isn't just another fixture on the calendar. It's potentially a flashpoint. The Union Bears have already announced plans to protest unless action is taken. That kind of organized unrest doesn't just vanish if Rangers manage to scrape a win. The supporters are looking for structural change, leadership, vision, competence. Not just a temporary fix. Not just a band-aid on a broken season. And let's be honest, one win won't fix this. Even a small run of results won't erase the distrust. What fans are crying out for is a signal that someone at the top is listening, that they care, that they understand what this club means, and what's at stake if it keeps drifting down this path. The worst thing the board can do now is nothing. Indecision will be seen as weakness. And weakness is not something Rangers Football Club can afford. Not in this league, not with this support, and not with history breathing down their necks before we continue. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. The latest whisper drifting through the streets of Glasgow is one that has sent the blue half of the city into a frenzy. Jonathan Bamba, the French Ivorian winger once admired in League One, is said to have put pen to paper with Rangers. A player of genuine flair and speed, Bamba's name alone carries enough weight to make supporters lean closer to the radio, refresh their phones, and wonder if Ibrox is about to welcome a new talisman. Nothing official has been confirmed by the club, of course, but the chatter is growing louder, and when smoke gathers this thick, fans begin to suspect there is fire nearby. Bamba's career has been one of streaks and sparks, capable of dazzling a defense with a shimmy or leaving fullbacks in his wake. If the rumor holds true, Rangers would be bringing in a winger who not only adds a direct threat on the flank, but also brings the kind of European experience that is priceless in a squad chasing domestic dominance and looking to make another dent on the continental stage. Those who have followed him from his days in Lille speak of a player who thrives on big nights, who relishes the lights and the noise, and whose touch of unpredictability makes him a nightmare to mark. For Rangers, the timing of such a signing would be as symbolic as it is strategic. The league race is tense, the margins razor thin, and fans demand bold strokes rather than cautious lines. Bringing in Bamba would send a message not just across Glasgow but across Scotland, that the Ibrox board still sees ambition as non-negotiable. Celtic supporters may scoff at the suggestion, dismiss it as fanciful gossip, but the very idea of Bamba in blue is enough to rattle cages. Until there is an unveiling, a scarf aloft, or a photo on the club's channels, the story remains in the realm of murmurs and murmurs only. Yet one cannot deny the energy pulsing through the terraces, the talk in the pubs, the speculation on the streets. Could Jonathan Bamba truly be about to trade League One pastures for the roar of Ibrox? For now, it is just a rumor, but sometimes rumors have a way of becoming reality. And if this one does, Rangers may have secured a player capable of turning a season on its head. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.